This is going to be a part 2 on a Toyota headlights problem. The part 1, I had diagnosed a bad body control module, which is this guy here. They would not turn a head relay on to turn the headlights on. What we end up doing, so this wire here is pretty much dead, and the computer would not turn this relay on, so we rigged the wire straight from the switch from a let's see here, this wire here. It's basically the signal wire that goes to a body control module to turn the lights on, to basically turn this head relay on. It wouldn't do it, so we basically bypass this wire, we connect this wire to this wire, and everything is working. However, everything was working fine until maybe a couple weeks into it. Lady told me that she was driving a car and all of a sudden the high beam lights start to flash on and off. He would turn on, and then she kind of got freaked out because we didn't know what was going on. One question I asked her, do you remember seeing a indicator on a dash that the headlights, the high beam lights are on? And she said did not. And the reason I asked her that is that now we need to kind of figure out what could cause that problem. And of course one of the issues could be a switch itself. And here's a switch. Now the high beam lights are still controlled by a body control module. That circuit works okay, and I'll show you this in a minute. So here's the switch for a high beam light, and when we turn this switch to high, you can see actually this switch is going to connect to this leg here, and then by looking at this wire here, basically goes to ground. Okay, so this, and then from there, once it's connected to ground, it will go through yellow and red wire here and here, and that is a signal for high beam light. And now when I start looking at it and see what's going on, I would flip the switch, the headlight switch, and I could see the indicator going on and off. And also you can see that this ground here, would actually go to the high beam indicator. And anyhow, so she said she specifically remembers that high beam light was not on. So I could somewhat walk away from this switch being a problem, basically intermittently. So what happens, the computer sends a certain voltage, I think it's a 12 volts on this wire here. It's a ground side switch circuit. Once you flip the switch is going to get ground, it's going to drop this voltage to 0. Basically it sends a signal to a body control module to turn a high beam lights on. And so that seemed to be working okay. Now the next what I did, I start to kind of flipping this switch on and off, just to see if that works okay. I could see, you know, the indicator is indicating a high beam on my dash. Lights are going high beam, low beam, everything works. And then at some point it got stuck on the high beam. And I said, okay, where at this point I actually ruled out the bad switch. From this switch here, once it's energized, so like let's for instance now we turn this high beam switch on. So what's supposed to happen next is that right here we have this relay. This is a dimer relay here, which you see actually has the 2 legs. It's normally in this position here, and once the ground side is energized, and let's go down here, you can see it's getting power from this head relay. So once this head relay sends the power to this leg, it actually provides the power to a low beam. Okay, so from here goes to a low beam lights, all right, here and here. Now and then once this guy is energized, then it actually energize this DRL, the daytime running light relay, and this one is actually provides the ground for the headlight. So it's kind of really weird setup where power side and ground side are actually controlled. Most of the time what we see in a car is basically the light bulb has a constant ground and the power is controlled by the module or the switch, whatever. So this is actually kind of goofy. You have no power or ground on these light bulbs whatsoever until you turn the switch on. Okay, so once it's the now let's go back to the high beam lights, and you can see now the this relay is on, and then we get a power to this relay and sends the power to low beam. Now this leg here, this wire here, is coming from this is a red and green and black or something like that. So this wire is actually, once the relay once the body control module receives the signal from a switch, it's gonna turn this relay on. Okay, so our problem is that we are getting power to this leg somehow when we don't supposed to. So what are the potential reasons why could that happen? We can have a bad module, right, because the module provides the ground. We can have this wire intermittently short to ground. It's going to energize the relay, correct? And it's going to flip the relay, you know, it's going to turn the relay on, and it's going to provide the power to these light bulbs. Or we can have a bad relay itself that during vibration or heat basically just switch itself to on position and turns the headlights on. So my next step was to find this relay and just tap on it and see if anything will change. Let's do that. Right now we have a low beam lights on. Now when oh shoot. So here's the high beam. You can see the indicator is working. Now we can let's look at this. Now high beam, low beam, high beam, low beam, high beam. Now everything is working okay. Okay, so right now I'm stuck on a high beam. Switch is off. You can see the indicator is out. It's no longer. However, I'm on the high beam. I'm stuck on the high beam right now. Now, if my body control module is messed up, it's gonna keep power. This is my dimer relay. If my body control module is messed up, when I tap this relay, it's not gonna change anything. If it's energized, it's energized. It's gonna stay in on position. So I'm gonna see it's still on high beam. When I tap on it, it goes back to low beam. Okay. So we have this relay. It's actually I'm gonna now keep tapping on it. You can see as I'm tapping the relay, the lights goes crazy. All right, so we have a dimer relay, which was my suspicious, that is going stupid, and we'll have to get a new one. And if you have now you can see it's stuck on high beam. And if you have this problem, again, most likely when this is the your brake booster. Here is your fuse box, and this relay here is a problem. This relay is also included in a light circuit, that and our head relay is this guy here. Okay, and so let's tap this again. See that I'm just tapping top of the relay, and it's kind of course intermittent. You can see that. You can see actually I'm pushing the relay, and it's just acting up, on and off, on and off. So if you have this issue, try this test. Just tap on the relay, and if that's the reason, I mean, if this starts happening, you're gonna need to replace this relay. See that? These electrical troubleshooters are not always too difficult. Even if they're intermittent, they are not that difficult to find. Well, they can be, of course, but when you're approaching this problem, look at the circuit and see what's involved in your circuit, and you know, my next step would be to maybe tap the module. You know, if this wouldn't work, I would go to the module, tap it, because she's still doing vibration. If she hits the pothole, it would start, you know, the high and low beam would go crazy. And so anyhow, just go kind of look at your diagram, don't get scared, look at the diagram, see what's involved and what components can cause those intermittent issues. Switch, modules, relay, all those things can be a problem. And of course, this, you know, it could be a shorted control wire, and that would be really difficult to find, because if the control wire is short to ground, you know, we would monitor that wire. But if it's short to ground, it would be difficult to find. Is it short actually at the from a body control module? Or is it short somewhere, you know, along the wire up to the relay? One thing that we could do, if we find that that we have that wire is grounding, in order to figure out where the ground is coming from, we could take a current clamp. I would take a current clamp, I would put it right next to my body control module, and if I would have a current right at the module, that would tells me that the actual ground is coming from the module. I have a bad module. Now, if no, when you're talking about the current, that would be a very low current, like, I don't know, I would say maybe like a 0.2 amps or something like that, just to energize control side of the relay. I hope this makes sense. Let's go back to the diagram. If this tapping the relay would not do anything, the next step would be we'll have to figure out, do we getting a ground on this red wire, and that would energize this relay here. We can go straight to the relay, find this leg and put the voltmeter here and observe the voltage. We would drive the car, and if this voltage drops down to 0, of course it's going to energize this relay, and then it's going to turn on the headlights. Now the question is, we have a short to ground. How are we going to find the short to ground? It can be anywhere along this wire, basically, you know, frayed insulation, touching the body of the car somewhere and getting the ground. Or we have a problem at the body control module itself. By observing the voltage here, it would not give us any good, because the voltage is going to drop all the way around here. It's going to be 0 volts or near 0, and we cannot figure out where it is where the short is. However, if we get a current clamp and we place the current clamp right in here next to the module, okay, again, drive the car, wait for the problem to happen again, and if we read any current here, the only possible way is that our short is actually in the module itself, and the current is traveling through the ground is coming from the module straight up to the relay. If we have a 0 amp here and this relay is energized, then we have a short to ground on this wire. There's nothing else it can be. And so anyhow, that's gonna conclude this this problem, and we will you know, order the relay and put new relay in and be done with it. Alright guys, well, this was kind of fun. Alright, have a good one. Thank you. Bye bye.